Hey, what's up, everybody? Happy Friday. Welcome to another Free Real Estate Advice Friday. A couple things. This is going to be a pretty quick one today because I am slammed. So if you've been waiting for that spring market to come, it's here. I say that a little bit every week, but I have to tell you that I am absolutely slammed. Looking at my big board right now, I have 15 active buyers going. 7 of which are actively shopping. I mean, those are big numbers. So as you can imagine, booking showings and everything, and everyone wants to see stuff on the weekends and everything else. We're totally slammed here. So that's a good thing though. No complaints, and that's part of my job is to manage that, and I take a lot of pride in being able to manage it and being available to everyone and answering a lot of text messages. But the one thing that is going to suffer is going to be this broadcast, because Fridays are a very popular showing day. So I have several lined up for today. Want to talk about a couple things today real quick. First and foremost, I continue to get these calls from people that are calling me based on something they saw on Zillow. They think I'm a listing agent for a property that they're interested in. We get through the whole process. This is for a local property here that a lot of us know about that is only taking showings this coming Sunday for an open house. They have 4-hour open house this Sunday, and that is it. That's your chance. And that's okay. It's they have a tenant in the listing, so it's really not a huge deal. That's understandable when there are tenants living there. You have to realize they're not selling the house, so we have to be accommodating for the tenant, and a lot of times that can be kind of challenging. So it's actually not a bad strategy. Just clear out the tenants for 4 hours, get the whole kit and caboodle. Everyone that wants to see that house can go through on Sunday. It's been coming soon for several days, so everyone has a chance to see it on the MLS or Zillow or Realtor, or wherever you see your listings. And then everyone can go visit on Sunday. I'm sure they'll have multiple offers, and then onward we go. But I got a call again, as I do, and I probably say this like every week. I got a call from someone who wanted to see it because they thought I was the listing agent. Now, I've said many times the way that this is listed out on Zillow is very confusing. It does kind of look like if you're not really paying attention, or if you request a tour for a property, you're going to get thrown to some random real estate agent. And it's really, it's partially random, but it's also, a paid placement. Those agents that you're reaching out to are those are paid advertisements. If it's there are some nuances there. I'm not going to get into the whole business end of it, but we pay Zillow to be there. So this person contacted me. They wanted to see it today. I said, well, there's only showings on Sunday. It's an open house, but I'll be glad to meet you there. Now, the reason I'm meeting them there, I typically don't meet clients at open houses because there's really no need for it. But I was going to meet the client there because it's this one-time showing situation. So I said, you know what, it's probably best that I see it. I'm just meeting these people for the first time. Let me go meet them there, and we can talk about it, because it's probably going to be a very quick offer process, and just be good to meet them there. So I offered to meet them there, and I told them it was an open house, and they said, oh, well, then we'll be there sometime between 12 and 2. I said, well, no, I'd be meeting you there. So, just tell me time, and I'll be happily meet you there. And they said, are you the listing agent? I said, no, but I don't recommend that you go through the listing agent, because the listing agent works for the seller. And they said, oh, never mind. We'll just go through the listing agent. So this is a mistake. In my opinion, it's a huge mistake. That opinion is not something that is a polarizing opinion or something that I just think. This is a very common conversation in real estate. Is I don't know what the perceived advantage is of people thinking they should go to the listing agent. Now, listen, if you're looking at like a foreclosure or something that's been on the market for 6 months, then by all means, go to the listing agent. But always keep in mind that listing agent works for the seller. They do not work for you, the buyer. There's no two ways about that. There's actually very specific rules about dual agency in New Jersey. In fact, New Jersey is actually one of the only states that it's legal to do this. That doesn't necessarily mean it's advisable to do it, which is interesting because, New Jersey is usually on the wrong side of the coin in things that are like of questionable legality or ethically questionable or stuff like that. New Jersey is usually the one that's like, nope, we're not doing that. In this case, though, we have dual agency in New Jersey. I've done dual agency deals. They're definitely a thing that happens. There are scenarios where it can work out just fine. Mostly private deals, and again, like I said, something that's been sitting for a very long time, and there's a lot of ins and outs to the property and knowledge required to get through it. But in a situation where you're in a hot listing and there's going to be, there's probably going to be 50 people at that open house, there's probably going to be 20 offers. You do not want to go through a listing agent, in my opinion, because they work for the seller. So where's your representation? In this case, I'll be sitting at home and I will unfortunately not be representing that person that called me. So they, there's an opportunity for me to call them back and explain all this to them. But honestly, I'm so busy right now that, I don't like to do business in a way that I force people's hand. I like to do business. I like to approach it from a standpoint of abundance and giving and, being strategic and things like that. So if I have to have that conversation up front and I get resistance, I'm like, no, it's fine. Just go to listing agent. But it's going to be tough. And in a situation where there's 20 offers, I'm sure you can understand why it's very tricky for the listing agent to take your offer, because what ends up happening is they then can't look at all the other offers. So if there's 20 offers and one is with the listing agent, they can't help advise on picking an offer. So it takes all these layers, and it just makes things super complex. Now, I will tell you that most real estate agents, what they tell you is, sure, I love getting both ends of a real estate deal, and that's fantastic as far as a paycheck goes. But the process can be pretty uncomfortable because you had a relationship with your seller, and you got them this far. You got it listed, you got it staged, you've had many sit downs, you have a good relationship, a good rapport. And then all of a sudden you have to call them and say, hey, look, I did find you a buyer. The bad news is I can no longer advise you. I can't advise you on inspection negotiations. I can't advise you on, a lot of things that come up during the process. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the perceived advantage is there. I would love someone to kind of give me the insight on as to what they think the perceived advantage is. I guess, I don't know. I don't even know if it's really thought out on the people that think that this is a thing, because I can't really think of what, I guess maybe they think they're going to get a deal of some sort. I don't know. It's a difficult one, but man, I can't tell you how many calls a week I get for this. And, listen, like I said, I'm super busy. So it's not like I'm desperate for buyers and I'm like, trying to talk them into this thing. Cause quite frankly, now that I don't have a showing on Sunday, I'm quite happy. I have a family and I have kids and I work a ton. So if I don't have to go there on Sunday, that's fine by me. Does it mean one less commission? Maybe, but that's when you have a lot of stuff going on, you don't worry about every single one. When you're getting started, you do have to chase every single one. So, but yeah, if you know anyone that's like thinking about going this route or something, man, we get this a lot, and it is a fallacy. It is there is no perceived advantage there. And if anyone would like to tell me why they think that is an advantage, drop it in the comments and let's debate it. But hey, I'm a professional. I do not see the advantage. In fact, when it happens to me, even on listings where it's a private listing or it's been sitting for a while, it's bittersweet because you'll get both ends of the paycheck, which can be a significant amount of money, but it creates a lot of complexities, and it's it's like walking on eggshells as far as like making sure that you're going to remain ethical and remain within the rules that we have to stick to, or we'll lose our license. So it's it can just add a lot of tension and a lot of stress. So adding tension and stress to a transaction is it's hard to bridge a gap from where you get to. That's the reality, and bridge the gap to where someone actually thinks it's an advantage of some sort. It really is not. So anyway, I know I say that all the time on these broadcasts, but it's just amazing the number of calls I get on it. So again, just a reminder, don't take that route. If you're thinking about going that route, just get yourself a good buyer's agent who's going to take you all the way through the process. Look at all the houses together. Don't hop from realtor to realtor, because it is going to put you at a disadvantage, because these clients, I always refer to my big board, and it's right over here to my left. That's why I'm always looking over there. These are my clients. These are my people. When I'm out in the wild today doing showings and I say, oh, you know what, this isn't going to work for them, but you know who this would work for? And I look at that big board and I know, that's what you need. Because look, every realtor has access to the same listings. There's not like, if you are like, Craig's not finding me anything, I'm going to go switch to so-and-so at, whatever, at XYZ brokerage. It's not like they have a different set of houses. We're all pulling from the same pool. So again, maybe that's the perceived advantage. I don't know. I would love to hear from someone that actually has like a reason they think that's an advantage. Even if it's someone watching this saying, well, here's a reason that you might think that. I'd love to hear that, because I'm just curious what the thought process is. So there's that. The one thing I wanted to talk about today, inspections and pre-inspections. So I got about 8 minutes to get this out. So we'll keep this pretty brief. If anyone has any follow-up questions on this, again, drop it in the comments and I'll cover it in a future session. In future sessions, we have some local businesses coming in. So I mentioned last week that we're going to have some local small businesses open up pretty much every episode of this. We're on episode 26 now, believe it or not. And every episode, I'm really going to try and open up with a small business. So I did have someone lined up for today, and we had a conflict, which actually wouldn't have worked out on my end anyway, because I'm scrambling today. But I do have someone for next week and the following week. So 3 weeks from now, whenever that is, today's 22nd. Yeah, so mid-May would be the next opening. But if you know any small businesses, anything, just give me a call. I can't guarantee that I can get everyone on. But if you are a local small business, or if you're not local, but you're like internet based, or, it's an Etsy shop or whatever it is, it's totally fine. Hit me up and we'll get you on the calendar. And yeah, I don't know. So let's talk about inspections and pre-inspections. So let's talk about first the listing side of it, because inspections have gotten to be the most heated aspect of real estate transactions these days, because everyone wants what's theirs. And you have some pressure going into those inspections because people are paying market rates, quite frankly, because what is a house worth? It's worth whatever someone's willing to pay for it. However, if that person convinces themselves, and I always say this with the disclaimer, either subconsciously or consciously, they paid a lot for the house. And then when they get to inspections, either consciously or subconsciously, they decide, you know what, I'm going to get some of that money back. I'm going to ask for a bunch of stuff in this inspection. Well, that does not go well, ever. If you're going to be heavy-handed, there's a good chance you'll just lose the house, because you have to remember that. I'll give you my personal example. If I lose out on a bid and it's something that my clients just can't get past, which this happens all the time. They just fell in love with the house, even though I tell everyone in this market, don't fall in love with anything until I call you and say offer accepted. But, someone falls in love with a house, and throughout, the first 3 weeks of the transaction, which is where, 4 weeks, where it can really still kind of go sideways, I'm keeping in touch with that other listing agent saying, hey, I'm just checking in, making sure everything's going through, because more deals than ever fall apart these days just because of everything I'm going to get to right now. So I'm always checking in with the listing agent and saying, hey, just checking in, making sure inspections are going okay. If there's any concerns, hey, my buyers are still super interested. They are ready to go today. And what happens a lot is that agent comes back to me and says, all right, Craig, well, inspections did not go well. There was no major issues to report, but the buyers got cold feet, or the buyers came in super aggressive with their inspection requests. Good for me as the buying agent, because this agent has developed some sort of, if I don't already know them, they've developed some comfort with me that I'm proactive. I know the drill. I've coached my clients properly, because I've already said in my offer that we're not gonna beat them up in inspections. And if the sellers get spooked because the current buyers are asking for the world, then they're going to come. They have every right to just say, you know what, we're not going to honor your requests, and we're requesting that the deal is done. It's over. And I have to tell my buyers this sometimes, is like, you can't ask for everything. We're going to advise you. I always say we, it's me. I'm going to advise you on what the industry standard is. That is based not only on what, is the norm these days, but it's also based on my conversations with the listing agent, getting a feel for what their sellers are comfortable with, what the sellers are aware of, what the sellers are upset about. And then it's conversations with your attorney. And then it's conversations with you, what's important to you. And then it's my color of like, all right, well, here's what I'm hearing from all of those variables wrapped together. And I come to you and I say, all right, well, here's what I think is reasonable. And here's what I think we should do. It's just it's really just a guideline. Maybe you decide that you don't like my advice and you want to go for it. That's fine. That generally doesn't happen, but I guess it could, because sometimes I get those attorney letters and I'm like, whoa, that's not what we talked about. And then the deal's dead. But that's only happened 1 or 2 times over my career. So, that portion of the transaction, which again is going to be like, 3 or 4 weeks into the transaction, is what's so heated these days. So you just really want to be careful that you're not too heavy-handed. And if you have a buying agent like me, I'm going to be checking in to see if some other agent is being heavy-handed, and that listing agent's getting, nervous about the transaction. Says, you know what, Craig, let me see what I can do. Let me talk to my sellers and let them know that you're still interested, and I think we can work something out. Happens all the time. This is another way to acquire a house. So again, strategic approach to all of these things is so important in this market. That's the day-to-day on our end, is checking in and making sure that people are comfortable with doing business with me and you as my buyers. On the listing side, and I'm looking at the clock now, I got about 3 minutes. On the listing side, I'm now more than ever minimally recommending that I do a walkabout with you around your house. This is tricky because, listen, if you want me to come there as a professional and give you my honest opinion, I absolutely will. I would prefer that we sign the documents first, because here's the thing. I'm not the type of listing agent that's going to show up to your house and sugarcoat everything and tell you that, you're going to have great results. This thing's going to be off the market in 3 days. You got nothing to worry about. Don't worry about the repairs. That'll be fine. That's not a strategic approach. That's just trying to get the listing. Then we sign the paperwork, and then we find out what the reality is, that there are some things that are going to need to be addressed. And the price that I gave you is ridiculous. And, that's not how I get listings. I get listings by building trust. So I will walk the house with you. And again, I prefer to sign the paperwork first and then walk the house with you, just so that, I don't want to come there and give you doom and gloom because I see some things and then have another agent come in and paint a very rosy picture. The reality is the same in both scenarios. But, you don't try to talk people into doing business with you by telling them how, flawed their house is. That's just not going to work, obviously. So, listen, if we have a good rapport and there's a lot of trust both ways, and I feel like, we're vibing and we get along and we're on the level, then sure, I'll tell you everything before we sign the papers. But I don't always have that luxury. Sometimes people are just, naturally tend to be a bit standoffish by a listing agent coming to their house and pitching them to sell their house at, a high price. So, but I'm happy to tell you that I tell all my clients, I approach everything from a very transparent place. I do not ever sugarcoat anything along the way. I tell you the reality, and sometimes people don't like the reality, and it puts that rapport to the test. But at the end of the day, when everything is all done, my goal is not just to get a paycheck out of it. It's for you to say, wow, you really did protect us the entire time. You were honest with us the whole time. You were calm. You were calm when we were not calm. I get that all the time. I'm in the trenches every day. So I'm prepared for this. People only sell houses, once every, 10, 15 years. Some people, recent clients that haven't sold a house in 30 years. So, I sell many a year. So, I have that advantage between the two of us, the people that are trying to sell their house, and myself. I have the advantage of just seeing all the things all the time. Listen, I got endless stories. If you want to invite me to a dinner party, I can tell you stories all night about real estate. Everything is crazy out there, but that all goes to just me being able to give you a better idea of what the reality is of your particular listing. So minimally, I recommend that we walk your house and I point out things to you inside and outside that I think would be things that buyers agents would be concerned with, and buyers, because, hey, I do that too. And then inside the house, obviously, we walk around, look at things. I can definitely advise you on potential upgrades. Very common one is flooring. If you have the ability to put in new floors, that is like a great bang for your buck upgrade, just to give you one example out of many possibilities. But we'll have those kind of talks. So deliberate, strategic, that's what you will get with me, and I highly recommend it. If you want to take it a step further, I'm actually starting to recommend, and I never did before, but now I am because of how negotiations are going in inspections, is a pre-inspection. So that is just a regular old home inspection. It's the same guy that does my home inspections for buyers, and he will come to your house and he will inspect your entire house. And the only thing that we have, that comes out of that is now you're prepared. You find out that, there's, you got improper drainage, or your gutters weren't connected. You have some small electrical stuff, which generally there always is some electrical stuff. And it's usually like a day rate to an electrician, and it's all taken care of. But how nice would it be to just get that taken care of up front, because it's going to have to be taken care of regardless on some of those things. That's like a safety issue, and not have it come up in the inspection, because it's just like, it's one less thing that you got to negotiate and one less thing you got to worry about down the road. So more than ever, I'm recommending these pre-inspections. And you can do septic pre-inspections. A lot of times, if you do find an issue with your septic, there's many ways we can handle it. It doesn't mean that you can't sell. Like if you find out you need a new septic, then that's a different story. That requires many larger conversations about how to deal with that. But if you just find out that the very common thing is a distribution box is disintegrated, or it's disconnected or something, $5,000-$6,000 repair. We can figure out how to do that. So and people are waiving inspections a lot now, which is fine if they actually go through with it. But that's, again, it's another one of those things where we get to attorney review and they pull it back. They talk to their attorney, and the attorney's like, whoa, we're not waiving I don't recommend that you waive inspections. And they're like, oh, okay, well, I guess we hadn't thought about that. So then I get a call and they say, hey, we're not waiving inspections anymore. And then it's me saying, well, but that's why we took your offer. So now we have to discuss, like, why should we stay with your offer? So again, all of these things are just like escalated and multiplied so much now, and are just so much harder than they used to be. And you really need someone that's in the trenches with you to discuss it. Now, after I went through all of that and how these inspections kind of tend to go south, you can understand why you shouldn't go to the listing agent to buy a house. Because who does that listing agent work for? That was the listing agent that walked to the house with the homeowners, if they even did. A lot of people do not. And said, oh, you got a couple little things here. Well, guess what? If you're a buyer and you go through a listing, you think they're going to tell you about that stuff? They don't have any fiduciary duty to you. In fact, technically with dual agency, they don't have fiduciary duty to anyone. They actually have to drop their fiduciary duty to their sellers. So it's tricky. It's not ideal. I don't know why anyone would want to put themselves through that, or put anyone else through it, really. It's not good news for the sellers, that's for sure, on no front. The only possible thing is, like, sometimes there can be a commission discount essentially, but it's not worth the money. The commission discount is not huge. And in my opinion, that's not worth it. Like, at that point, I have to go to my sellers and be like, I can't really advise you anymore. That's not a good conversation. So my opinion, dual agency, no one wins until payday. If it goes through, which is usually just a bit precarious, then, sure, I guess, the realtor wins in the end. And if everyone's happy, then I guess it works out. But, it's tough to get there. It's just, dual agency is tricky, man. So yeah, that's it, connecting it back. But this inspection thing, there's so much more to be talked about here. I mean, if you're thinking about buying or selling with me, then by all means, there's a link on all of these. I can't see everywhere. This is being thrown to quite a few places. So 3 different places on Facebook and YouTube as well. But in the descriptions, whether it's YouTube or Facebook, you can see in there's a consultation. Look, if you're thinking about dealing with me, or you're already a client, just click on that. It'll take you right to my calendar. You can book 30 minutes. And I'll be happy to talk about this a little more specifically with your situation as far as the inspections go. If you're thinking about selling your home, I just did one here in Pittstown, and they had some stuff they were aware of, but we walked the house and I told them, if I were a buyer, these would be the things that would catch my eye, and these would be the things where I think you can get a lot of bang for your buck. And it's a beautiful house. I can't wait to list it. So yeah, so that's pretty much it. I got to run. I'm going to probably be late for my showing, but thank you as always. Please, if you know any small businesses that might be interested in taking part of this, I envision that's going to be the first 5 to 10 minutes of every episode. I'll just highlight some business. We'll just do a quick interview. It'll all be done via, I say Zoom, but this platform I use is not Zoom, but it's, if you can use Zoom, then you can do it. I do prefer if they have like a decent setup. Obviously, I have like a professional setup here. That's not necessary, but if they have an external camera, an external mic, that would be great. That's a total of $100 on Amazon. It's great to have anyway. That would be preferred, but if they're on their phone or their laptop, it is what it is. It's fine. So if you know any small businesses, please hit me up. The hardest part about doing it is actually finding them and scheduling them. So if you can find them for me and take that one step away from it, that would be fantastic. So all my friends out there, all my followers, subscribers, everyone else, send me your small businesses. I'd love to interview them and get them a little exposure. All right. So hope everyone's staying healthy. Warm weather's coming. It's beautiful out today. Everyone have a great weekend, and I will see you all next week. All right. Take care, everyone.